Hello, you've caught me thinking about futility.
Attempting to make Dave understand the merits of allowing us to film him playing PT. Futile. Trying to undermine the runaway popularity of a stupid badger puppet. Futile. Resistance. Futile.
There also exist out there in the futilosphere a number of video game bosses who, try as you might, you will never ever beat.
I'm talking about those wall-punchingly infuriating bosses that are deliberately thrust before the player like reality in front of an England rugby fan. Barriers against which, no matter how hard you grind and fight and tell yourself, no, I can do this, simply can't be broken down.
And here are 7 of them. 7 video game bosses that are literally impossible to kill.
First up is Beatrix from Final Fantasy IX, a lady with big attitude, a big sword, and really big hair. Your first scrap with Alexandria's finest is the climactic battle at the end of Disc 1.
Disc 1, those were the days.
And takes place in the rain-soaked, joy-sucked ruins of Burmecia. If the setting wasn't grim enough, your face will soon follow as Beatrix sets about destroying your fledgling party of probably under-leveled warriors with a thundering great difficulty spike.
Welcome to Final Fantasy IX, idiot, is what this battle basically says, instantly slapping you down to 0 hit points with the aptly named Shock Attack.
Ow. Oh well, time to level up then, you might think, and you run around in circles for 3 hours smacking low-level nothings until Vivi can throw Blizzara at Beatrix, which, as it turns out, is a massive waste of time because you still can't win.
No, Beatrix unleashes Stock Break, which reduces everyone to a wobbling 1 hit point before flicking her hair and strolling off to Disc 2, where she does exactly the same thing to you again.
Limitless HP, impossibly strong attacks, and yeah, what a surprise, Zidane couldn't steal anything. We'll stick with PS1 era RPGs for our next entry, and I'm really glad I can finally talk about The Legend of Dragoon, a game that, as a young, impressionable Final Fantasy fan, I fell hopelessly in love with, what with its spiky-haired hero, its villainous black monster, its winglies and party members that die, and ladies what do healing magic, and enigmatic silver-haired swordsmen who are so narratively overpowered you can't land a single bloody hit on them when you fight them in this early boss battle.
Lloyd, as this enigmatic silver-haired swordsman is rather tediously known, simply stands there, sidestepping Dart's flimsy attacks and letting out cocky little sound bites like...
Missed! Too slow! Over here!
Then, when you realise the game has decided, no, actually, you can't hit Lloyd, you try and troll the Legend of Dragoon by guarding and raising your hit points, realising that if you do, Lloyd can't do enough damage to end the fight.
I was prepared to stay there forever, guarding through sheer stubbornness until the game disc just melted.
But Lloyd goes all cutscene on you and there's nothing Dart can do except say things like, it's too fast, I can't read the moves, and then fall over. Right, let's PS4 things up a bit with some Bloodborne, a game so hard you have to lose the very first encounter. As soon as you wake up in ISFGA's clinic, you're met with a werewolf you can only take on with your bare hands.
Which naturally means you have to die in order to reach the hunter's dream. Oh look, it's Golden Joystick Award nominee Delsim Roden, what do you want? You've beaten the werewolf at the beginning of Bloodborne with your bare hands, have you? Well, go on then, do it. Let's have a look. Right, so new entry for number 3 then, I guess. Sorry, Dave, blame the badger. It's Jetstream Sam from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
This happens early on in Platinum Games' slick Metal Gear action spin-off and is a classic example of the showing you exactly what you're up against story trope. Namely, a massive bloke with enviable hair and a sword that glows red with the blood of the enemies it's cleaved into tiny pieces. But hey, you're Raiden, that guy you spent all of Sons of Liberty turning into a nuclear mech-trouncing badass who sword-dueled a big boss clone off the top of Federal Hall in New York. Jetstream Sam should be a piece of piss.
It's okay. It's okay. Snake only needs one eye, Raiden only needs one arm.
Just have to make sure that I position myself so that... maybe let's come back later when we're half a robot and a bit further down our skill tree. Now, if you paid attention in Year 4 history, you'll know the ancient Egyptians worshipped many a strange deity. There was the cat one, the pyramids, and Set. I remember Set, he's the god of firing green stuff and not taking any damage whatsoever when you have to fight him right at the end of Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation.
No, Robert, he's the god of storms, chaos, desert, and war. Now put this infernal thing away and do your revision.
He's the Egyptian god of storms, desert, chaos and war, and as you'd expect, being the Egyptian god of storms, desert, chaos and war, you can't kill him. Instead, like all impossibly evil dark lords of things, you have to run around a room and seal him away so that in, 5,000 years or whatever, some unwitting fool accidentally releases him again and starts an 8-book long fantasy opus or something.
Speaking of gods, here's the god of the gods being a goddamn cheaty git right at the start of God of War 2.
It's topless Thunderbolt enthusiast and somewhere along the line everyone's dad, Zeus, the Lord of Olympus, sucking away all the powers Kratos accrued in God of War 1 so he can spank him back to the bottom of the skill tree for the sequel, which, sadly, means you have to endure this impossible to win boss fight.
Right, come on then. Let me move then. Well, come on then, do the spinny thing.
Submit! I would rather die!
Robert, your history test is tomorrow, and we're going through this one last time. Now, Set.
God of storms, desert, chaos and war.
Osiris.
God of death and resurrection.
Horus.
The god of sky, the sun, protection and healing.
Anubis.
The god of teleportation and invulnerability.
Robert, I despair!
So did we, Mum, when after having fought our stylish way to the finale of Zone of the Enders, we found ourselves up against Anubis, an invincible mega-dodging cheese mech who just can't be touched. You have to just survive long enough for the end game to kick in. There's literally nothing you can do except watch him flit about the screen laughing at your ineptitude.
He does the exact same thing to you in the second runner. In fact, you have to get to the end of that game before you finally get to deal Anubis some robot-flavoured justice.
For the original Zone of the Enders, however, no chance. Doesn't matter how well you fight, you simply cannot win. Infuriating. And from one Hideo Kojima boss to another, our last entry is from Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. That's right, Dave, 2 Metal Gear mentions for the second week running. How'd you like that? And is one of the strangest bosses you'll ever face. The Sorrow is kind of already dead. In fact, you can see his remains at the start if you pay attention in this cutscene. So you are, in effect, trying to fight a ghost. Naturally, you can't do that. Instead, you have to wade through a river groaning with the spirits of everyone you've killed in the game up until that point. Snake's life slowly ebbing away as he's drained by the spirits of his victims.
I mean, that's very clever. It makes you think about all the naughty things you've done, but it also makes you think, how the hell do I get past this?
Not since Psycho Mantis have I had such trouble. Turns out you have to let yourself die and then take the revival evil pill Major Zero briefly mentioned, I don't know, about 20 hours ago. Either way, you can't touch the sorrow, you just have to watch him weeping bloody tears while he floats about being creepy and possibly Ocelot's dad. Spoilers. So there you go, 7 bosses that are literally impossible to beat. Let us know in the comments if you can think of any more, or if you've got any ideas for future Friday features. Hit the like button because then I get fed, and subscribe for more of these videos every Friday. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.